Einen wunderschönen guten Nachmittag, meine sehr geehrten Damen und Herren. Herzlich willkommen zum heutigen
A wonderful good
Online-Event
afternoon,
der
ladies and
Pfeifer Group.
gentlemen, and a
Willkommen
warm
im
welcome
Online-Studio.
from the
Und wie wir
virtual
Tirolerinnen
Pfeifer
sagen
Group
würden, grüß
studio. We are
euch.
coming live to you, and I
Keine
would
Sorge,
like
wir
to
bleiben
send some
heute per Du
Tyrolean
und
vibes
sind
to
natürlich
you
bald per
and
Sie.
welcome you with
Und
a
wir werden jetzt
Tyrolean
nicht
Grüß
vergänglich
euch.
für unsere
But of course, we are
internationalen
going to
Zuseherinnen
continue
und
in proper
Zuseher
German,
in
and we are also
Italienisch,
offering
Französisch,
simultaneous
Englisch und
interpretation
Spanisch
into English,
übersetzen.
Italian,
Und
French,
an
and
dieser Stelle
Spanish
schon
for
einmal
our
ein
international
herzliches Dankeschön
participants.
an unsere
I would like to take this
Dolmetscherinnen
opportunity
behind
to
the
thank
scenes,
our
die
interpreters
heute
who are
uns
busy
quasi für
behind
Sie
the
an den Lippen
scenes
hängen werden
to
und
make
uns
sure
folgen können
that
und
every
verstehen
word
können.
that will be
Und
said here
damit Sie das
today
tun
will come
können,
across in
drücken
all
Sie
the
jetzt
five
bitte auf Ihren
languages.
Button Ihrer
So if you
Landessprache und dann
haven't
können
yet
Sie alles
done
verstehen
so,
in Ihrer
please
Sprache, was
press the
ich
button
sage, was
provided
wir
for
sagen.
translation into your
Ja,
language.
und
Thank you
ein
very
großes
much.
Dankeschön auch schon mal an Zimtnau. Das
I would
ist
also
unsere
like to thank
Technikagentur, die jetzt
Tim
im Hintergrund die
Now. This
Fäden
is
zieht, damit
our
wir eine
sound
tolle Übertragung
engineer
haben.
and
Und Sie werden dann auch die Experten schon hier
broadcasting
in ins
agency. The
virtuelle
ladies and
Studio
gentlemen are
schalten.
responsible for the
Ich
broadcast of
bin
the
Manuela
event today,
Kamper und ich
and they will also
spüre
connect
heute
our
auch the
experts.
Passion
My
for
name
Timber
is
bei
Manuela
Pfeifer
Kamper,
Group und ich
and
bin
I
heute
feel the
quasi Ihr
passion for
Wurm
timber with the
im
Pfeiffer
Gold der
Group. I'm
Nachforschung
going
und
to
Nachdenken und
ask
Sie mit
all the
meiner Moderation
in-depth
durch den
questions
Event
today.
begleiten
I
darf
will
und
go
natürlich
into the
auch
deeper
eine
layers like a
spannende
bark beetle, if you so want,
Podiumsdiskussion
and will guide
mit
you
unseren
through the
Experten
panel
der
discussion where
Branche.
our experts will
Noch
share
nie
their
waren die
knowledge and
Themen wie
information with you.
Fachkräftemangel, Digitalisierung,
Shortage
die
of labor,
Nachhaltigkeit,
skilled
aber auch
labor,
Versorgungsengpässe und
sustainability,
natürlich auch Preissteigerung im
digitalization,
letzten
the
Jahr
bottlenecks
präsent.
in
Und
global supply
wir
chains
befinden uns in
and
einer
price
unglaublichen
increases have never
Transformation.
been
Ja, ich möchte
more
sagen,
pressing
einer
than in this past year. We are in the
Weltwirtschaftstransformation.
midst of a new
Und
global
vielleicht
economic
könnte man es mit
transformation,
der
maybe
industriellen
even
Revolution
a
von damals
revolution. Maybe you could
vergleichen, wo
compare it to
alles
the
einfach viel,
industrial
viel schneller
revolution
und
of
viel, viel
yesteryear,
dynamischer
with the only
vor sich
difference
geht
that
als
everything
je
is now
zuvor.
developing at a
Und
thousand
wir
times
werden
faster
heute
than
über diese
ever
Themen mit den
before.
Experten
So
aus
these
der
are the topics
Holzindustrie
that we are going
sprechen.
to
Was
discuss
bringt uns das Jahr
with the experts from the
2022
timber
und hier die
industry
Reise hin? Da
today.
schauen wir in die
What will
Glaskugel der
2022 bring?
Holzindustrie.
We are
Welche
going to look into
Risiken
our
sind
crystal
denn
ball here
vorausgesagt? Welche
today
Chancen werden
to
uns geboten? Und vor
look at
allem,
the
was denken
opportunities that
denn
we can
die
expect,
Experten der
what
Branche
risks we
aus
will be
ihrer
facing, and
persönlichen
above
Sicht?
all,
Also
learn
das
from
ist
our
heute unser
experts and
Thema und wir
learn
möchten Sie
more about
natürlich
their
auch
view of
einladen,
the
dass Sie
future
mit
will
uns
bring.
interaktiv
And of
werden.
course, we would
Das
like
können Sie
to
tun, indem Sie
invite you
uns
all
Ihre
to join
Fragen
us interactively in the
im Chat
discussion
stellen, in den Chat
and be
stellen
part of this
und einfach
online
mal
event.
drauf
You can do
losfragen,
this
was
by
Ihnen in den
simply
Nägeln
posting
brennt.
your
Müssen
questions
Sie
in
heute,
the
wie Sie
chat.
sonst so
So
lange
I will be
an dem
happy to
Nase
see
der
the things
Holzindustrie
that
an
you
den
are
Experten dran
interested
sein
in,
zu
and I will
können?
be happy to
Im
pass your
letzten
questions
Herbst
on.
2020 wurde
In
der
autumn
Holzboom ausgelöst wie nie
2020,
zuvor und der hat eine
the
unglaubliche
timber boom
Marktverschiebung
was
und
kicked off and it
Marktexplosion
brought
verursacht,
about
wie
a
heuer im
massive
Frühjahr
change on the market.
2021 und das
And
konnten sogar Insider der
even
Branche
long-time
nicht
industry
erwarten und voraussagen.
insiders were
Und einer
unable to
der
predict such
Top-Insider,
an
der wird jetzt gleich zu
upheaval.
uns
And
kommen
one of the
und
top
ich höre
players and
schon Ihren
insiders in the
Applaus, wo immer Sie
industry
uns
is
jetzt auch
now going to
zusehen
join us.
mögen,
And I can
denn Sie
virtually
kohle ihn jetzt
hear
ein. Meine
your
Damen und Herren,
virtual
begrüßen
applause
Sie
from wherever
den
you are
CEO der Pfeifer
attending
Group.
this
Da kommt er, Michael
meeting.
Pfeiffer. Herzlich
Even if you're not
willkommen.
with us here in the online studio, please give a
Vielen
warm
Dank,
round
Frau
of
Manuela.
welcome to
Schön,
the
dass Sie präsent sind.
CEO of the Pfeifer Group,
Einen wunderschönen
Michael
guten Nachmittag
Pfeiffer.
auch an dich,
Good
lieber Michael.
afternoon,
Ich möchte dich jetzt
Michael,
gar nicht lange
and
aufhalten. Ich darf die einleitenden Worte an
I
dich
don't
übergeben
want
und schalte mich kurz
to
weg. Meine Damen und Herren,
keep you,
Michael Pfeiffer.
and I would like to ask you now for your
Ladies and
welcoming
gentlemen,
words.
to
Ladies
our
and
indoor
gentlemen, I
and
give to
panel
you
podium
Michael
discussion.
Pfeiffer. Ladies and gentlemen,
Vor allem
welcome to our
heute
virtual
möchte ich unsere
panel
Expertenrunde
discussion. First and
mit dem
foremost, I would
heutigen
like to welcome
spannenden
our panel of
Thema.
experts who are going
Was
to
bringt
discuss
uns
the exciting
2022
questions with us today,
2022?
namely, what will 2022
Mein
bring?
Name ist
Let
Michael
us talk
Pfeiffer.
about
Ich bin
opportunities,
CEO der Pfeiffer
risks,
Holding.
and take a look
Meine
into the
Oma
future.
Barbara Pfeiffer
My
hat
name is Michael
1948
Pfeiffer. I am
Unternehmen
the
Pfeiffer
CEO
gegründet.
of the Pfeiffer
Ich bin
Holding, and
seit
my
1997
grandmother,
im
Barbara
Unternehmen und
Pfeiffer, founded
36
the
Jahre
company in the
jetzt
year
als Firmengründer
1948.
tätig.
I joined the
Verbunden
company in 1985 and have been
seit gemeinsam mit
associated
meinem
with
Cousin
this
Clemens Pfeiffer
fascinating raw
und
material
Gerhard
that wood
Franzell
is
unser
for
Familienunternehmen seit dritten
36
Generation.
years. I now run our family business
Wir
together
wagen
with my
heute einen
cousin
Blick in die
Clemens Pfeiffer
Zukunft,
and Ewald
nur in die
Franzoll.
Glaskugel.
Before we
Zum
are
Glück
going to
werde ich zuerst
consult
mit
our crystal ball to take a look into the future, I would like to start with a brief review of the past year. A turbulent, very exciting year 2021 with many ups and downs is in its final phase. We saw price increases in all raw materials, be it film, glue, spare parts, and round timber. We experienced delivery difficulties, long delivery times, price increases for all our products. All of this led to panic buying by all our customers. I think that there were never too few wood products available at any time. They were just in the wrong warehouses. Some customer warehouses, there were 3 times as much product at the end of August 2021 than in the same period in August 2020. And then suddenly they were almost empty. And then in mid-August, the situation changed entirely. We saw price reductions for our products and also cuts in the sawmill and processing sector. I am convinced that this year will go down in history for the timber industry. But currently, the positive aspects far outweigh the negative ones. We have full capacity utilization of all our productions. This is driven by good demand in the US market and a strong and booming timber market in Central Europe. I would like to stress one thing. The volume of sawn timber that was sold outside Europe was not higher than in any other years. Yes, it may be true that America may have bought more sawn timber, but other countries such as China and North Africa bought less. The price increases for wood products in the first 8 months of this year were not always easy for our customers, but at the same time, we also had to face price increases for the products that we purchase. Round timber went up in price, energy costs increased, electricity, glue, film, spare parts, all of those increased in prices, and the delivery and supply times were also increasing. Glue price doubled compared to 2020. Energy went up 50%. And one more thing, over the past 15 years, we have hardly ever increased the price of our products. And then in September 21, the situation became more difficult. The timber industry had to cut production in the sawmills, and we also had to cut production shifts, especially in the sawmill sector and in glulam production from mid of October. Quite simply put, there was maybe too little common sense in our industry this year. You can't install 50% more timber products from one day to the next because we simply do not have enough craftsmen for that. At least that's what we hoped in the first and the second quarters of this year. So over the past 4 weeks, the framework conditions may have become more difficult, but timber construction is going to continue to increase in Central Europe by approximately 5% annually. And it will also increase globally, and the demand for sawn timber will also continue to rise. And the topic of CO2 will further boost the timber construction, so to speak. We are working in an industry with a bright future. HR, personnel will remain a central issue. There's a shortage of skilled labor in all areas. All sectors are searching new employees. And the companies that offer ideal conditions will find new staff, and they will also be able to expand their lead in the future. Another topic is logistics. Currently, there is a shortage of up to 100,000 lorry drivers in Central Europe, and large haulage companies have up to 70 lorries standing in their car parks because they simply do not have the drivers to drive them. So logistics is and will remain a challenge for everyone, whether truck, rail, or ship. So the industry will have to deal with these issues also in future. Freight prices are going to increase. I think we have to bid farewell to just-in-time deliveries. I'd like to urge our customers to expect longer delivery times, even if the products are in stock. because as I said, we have not enough freight capacities. And I would also like to urge you, do not deplete your warehouses. I am very happy about the great interest in our event today. We have 600 participants registered, and I look now forward to an exciting 1.5 hours with external and internal leaders. And now I would
Ja,
like to pass
vielen
the
herzlichen
microphone
Dank
back to
an Michael
Manuela.
Pfeiffer für diese
Thank you very much,
einleitenden
Michael
Worte.
Pfeiffer, for
Was
these
für ein Mann, was für
introductory
ein
words.
Unternehmen,
What
seit
a gentleman, what
36
a
Jahren
company.
ist er
For
in der
36
Holzindustrie tätig.
years, this
Ein
gentleman
toller
has
Mann,
been
Michael
working
Pfeiffer,
in
vielleicht
the
ihn da
timber
gleich auch in der
industry, a
Podiumsdiskussion
very
zu
successful
erleben. Und
manager,
mit
and
Ihnen
I'm
darf ich
looking
jetzt
forward
eine
to hearing
kurze
him in
Vorschau
the
geben,
panel
meine Damen und
discussion.
Herren, was uns
I would
gleich
now
live
like to
erwarten wird.
explain to
Als
you what the
nächstes dürfen Sie
agenda
einen
holds in
Vortrag
store for
erleben, einen
you. The
Rückblick
next
in das
item on
Jahr
our agenda is an interesting
2021 und
lecture with a
niemand
review
Geringeren
of an
als den
extraordinary year
Holzkurier-Chefredakteur
2021.
Dr. Gerd
Please
Ebner,
look
der
forward
heute
to
bei
the
uns zu Gast ist.
editor-in-chief
Und
of
nach dem
Holzkurier,
Vortrag werde ich Ihnen dann die Experten der
Gerd
Tafelrunde, so
Ebner.
wie ich das heute
And after
bezeichnen darf,
his presentation,
vorstellen.
his review
Die
of the
eben
year,
auch an
I
der
will have the
Diskussion
honor and
teilnehmen
pleasure to present the other
werden Sie
gentlemen at the
erwarten
round
dürfen,
table
neben
to
Michael
you.
Pfeiffer und Gerd Ebner.
So
Das
who
ist
will
der
come in
Vertriebsleiter der
addition to
Pfeifer
Michael
Group
Pfeiffer
Leonhard
and
Diethold
Gerd
und der
Ebner?
Geschäftsführer
We have
von
sales
Euroblock, das
manager
ist der Herr
Sawn
Leonhard
Timber
Scherer,
and
und
CEO
den
of
Vertriebsleiter
Euroblock,
für
Mr.
Holzbau
Leonhard
bei Pfeifer
Scherer.
Group, das ist der
We are
Klaus
also looking
Greber,
forward to
und
Klaus
den
Greber, the
Logistikleiter
sales
bei
manager
Pfeifer
timber
Group,
construction
Thomas
at Pfeiffer Group,
Staudinger.
and
Ja, und
Thomas
genau
Staudinger,
danach geht es
the
dann direkt in
logistics
die
manager at the Pfeiffer
Podiumsdiskussion.
Group. And
Und
after
jetzt,
that,
meine Damen
we
und
kick
Herren,
off with
dürfen Sie
the
sich auf einen
panel discussion.
interessanten
But now I
Vortrag
would
freuen.
like to
Und bevor
introduce
ein
to you
Rückblick
Gerd
der
Ebner.
Geschichtsbücher angeht,
Look
freuen Sie
forward
sich
to
auf
an
einen Vortrag
inspiring
mit dem Chefredakteur des
presentation.
Holzkuriers,
The
Gerd Ebner.
editor-in-chief,
Bitte
Gerd
schön.
Ebner of Holzkurier, is going
Vielen
to
Dank,
look back
Manuela
at this
Kamper.
past year,
Herzlichen Dank für die
2021.
Präsentation.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to give
Also
you
ich
some
finde die
figure
Geschichte jetzt
about
einmal
what
im Rückblick zu
Michael
halten.
Pfeiffer said at the
Es war ein
beginning.
Jahr der
I was
extremen
asked to take a look back to the year
sowohl bei der
2021.
Nachfrage
So
als auch
it
bei der
was a difficult
Preisgestaltung auf und
year,
Abs,
no
wie
matter
niemals
if you're
zuvor.
talking
Auf
about
jeden
the
habe ich den
demand or
Vortrag
the
genannt,
prices.
den
So there were
übergroßen Wandel
ups
im
and
Tagesmodell.
downs as there have never been before.
Als
And
nächstes
therefore, I called my presentation from
Finanzrohr
abundance
des
to
Lebens.
shortage
So
and
lange
back. Let's now
beschäftige ich mich mit Pfeiffer, aber
come to
immerhin
a
schon
few
25
words
Jahre,
about my
seit
person.
20
My
Jahren bin
name
ich
is Gerd
Chefredakteur des
Ebner.
Editors of Holzkurier
I have been
und
for the
mittlerweile
last
verantwortlich für die Reihe
25 years the
Fachzeitschriftenverbund,
editor-in-chief
also der
at the
Holzkurier, des
Holzkurier
Forstzeitungen, des Innentriebe
and
Holzbau-Austria,
for also
der Presse- und
the
Internet-Zeitungen, der
Forstzeitung and
Holzkurier bis zur
Holzbau Austria. So for these three
Fachzeitschriftenvertriebssektion.
specialist
Beschäftige
trade
rund 25
magazines and studied
Mitarbeiter, davon 12
forestry.
Journalisten mit Fahnen
I employ
in einer
25
Redaktion aus der
people,
Größe
among
Führungsbranche
which
in
are
Österreich.
12 journalists. And this makes us
Ein
also
Unterschied
the
zu vielen
biggest
anderen Jahren war,
editorial
dass wir
house for the
heuer nicht
timber
nur
industry
international
in
gefragt
Europe.
auftreten, sondern
So
Insider von Gerd hat das sehr
2021 was
vertieft
also
dargestellt.
a year
Manche, die
of the
kommen haben,
extremes.
die von mir ein paar
This
Logos
year, for the
die
first time,
erschienen
we
sind.
got
Und die
lots of
Kernfrage
questions
war
from
immer,
journalists. Here you can see some
Spannungsbogen war
logos,
sehr,
and the
sehr
core
einfach.
questions were always
Beziehungsweise, warum kaufen uns die
why
Amerikaner alles
did
weg?
the
Und
prices increase
letztlich bin ich
so
zum Schluss,
strongly,
dass
or
alles
why
Sinn
do
und
the
Vertrag war, nur
Americans
ganz kurz,
buy
das
the
ist
products that
eine
we would like to
statische
have?
Darstellung,
So here you can
warum in
see
einer
a
extrem
map,
globalisierten
and
Welt.
you can see
Wer
that
nicht seines
we are
Wegs
living
aus
in
natürlich
a
tun, wo
very
und wo was er will,
globalized world.
dann heißt
And
das,
for example,
dass
when there are
die
floods in
30%
British
Lieferwerte an
Columbia,
USA davon
then
sind
this
jetzt. Das heißt, die
means
Amerikaner
that,
momentan
for
fehlt
example,
15% an der
in
Versorgung. 15%
the
an der
US,
Versorgung in den USA
there is a
heißt,
lack of supply of
dass noch mehr
15% at the
europäisches
moment.
Holzgerät
And
ist, wie
this
jetzt
means
das
that
heuer
when
ohnehin
they have a
runtergegangen ist.
lack of supply in the
Vertragen
US,
möchte ich auch
then
noch
they need even
hinweisen, dass
more
es
products
als
from Europe.
Unterschied im ersten
Here on the
Halbjahr
map, you can
zwei
see that
Unterschiedungsregionen gegeben
in
hat. Das
the
war einmal
first
Nordamerika
half
und die
year,
zweite Überhitzungsregion
there
ist
were two
Mitteleuropa und
overheated
bis in
regions,
Zentralasien.
namely Northern
In den anderen
America
Märkten sind die
and
Preise auch gestiegen
also
wie per Hektar.
Italy. In the
Mit
other
einer
areas, the
Ausnahme
prices
Japan
also
hat
increased, but not so
das
strongly.
aufgezeigt,
One
was
exception
Europäer und
was
südamerikanische
Japan,
Landpreise
and in
sonst
Japan
nicht
they
tun.
also
Ein
paid
ganz großer
the
Unterschied
prices
ist
what the
auch,
North Americans and what the
dass China
Europeans
heuer deutlich
demanded.
weniger Nadelholz
And
gekauft hat, wenn die
China
sind
also
umgestiegen
bought a
auf
lot
Buntholz
less
und im
sawn
Wesentlichen auf
softwood
Buntholz aus
because they switched over to
Europa.
round timber, and here mainly
Was die
round
Karte
timber
aufzeigen
from
soll, heute ist
Europe.
auch schon
The
angesprochen
map
worden,
should
die
also
Logistik
show
war heuer
you
ein
what
Thema
was
im
mentioned
Vergleich
before is
2022 war
logistics,
noch ein großer Thema.
because logistics might become a huge challenge
Wir
for
sind heuer in den Jahr
2022.
angekommen, this year we have had a year that was still characterized by the year 2020, because we had COVID-19 in 2020. With regard to production, there were several lockdowns and there were also some general insecurities. For example, in the USA, also some sawmills were closed down. But on the other hand, the demand rose. This was because the people had the time and they had the money and they wanted to invest into their own houses. They built carports, facades, terraces, and so there was a considerable excess demand. According to the CEO of the second largest timber industry of the world, by 2025, the supply and demand will be balanced again. So it will take some time. So this means for this time, for this year, that Europe will be the region with the largest production and also the largest demand will be situated in Europe. And this means that we will have overtaken the USA by 2025. So a few words have already been said about the price development. Please look at the red line from the left to the right side. This is the sawn softwood prices, and here you can see that the prices increase when there are calamities. And so here we can see the fluctuations. There are ups and downs all the time. And only in the recent past there was a considerable change, namely from the second half of 2020, the processes could not fulfill the global demand. So this means that after this complicated second half of 2020, the sawn wood warehouses were empty, and this is how the year 2021 started. One building material that is usually not always on the radar, but which is usually more available, just took up on speed and achieved something which the other building materials took many decades, and so there was a peak in the middle of the year, and here you can see the figures for Germany, but the figures for Austria are quite similar. So we do not have more recent figures than the figures for October, but here we can see the trend by looking at the lines here. The reasons for the price increases were low in inventories, there was a lower production, and also a high demand worldwide. And this caused some panic. And this is something which is known as the whiplash effect. So this means there is the timber construction company, then they address the retailers then address the wholesalers, and also the wholesalers notice that the situation is complicated, that the prices increase, and so the situation aggravates and then comes to a point, to a situation which we have experienced over the past months, and this then means the high export prices, and the price rose to almost 900 euros per cubic meters. So this is a very high price. And what I also have to mention is that the sawmills and also the others involved in the timber industry tried to test the possibilities, because they also tried to increase the prices, and so the spiral got upwards. The increase was not only cost driven, but this was also due to the psychology. The sawn timber prices in detail. So these are the prices that are surveyed per month. So for example, here when you look at the situation in Italy, so first we have quite a constant development, and then there is a considerable increase at the middle of the year, and here now we have a considerable decrease in November. but the decrease seems to become slower and seems to slow down at the level which is still above the level that we were used to in recent years. So here we can see it in a different way. So here we can see the first half and second half year of 2006. So the development was quite constant. Usually the second half is always a little bit stronger. That's the average price from June to December. So let's look at the first half of 2021. So here we can see we have an average price of almost 200 euros, and this rose to an average price of 300 euros. And when we take into consideration the average price from January to June, then this increase is even more considerable. What was very bad for the sawmills was the very weak demand. So this means despite higher prices, the sales and the turnover will be a lot lower in the second half than in the first half. So here are the prices for the round timber. I mentioned the development, so there is some fluctuation, there's more movement because of the damaged wood. There were some stronger price increases. There was a price increase at a record level, so 2013, 2014. And what is really fatal for the industry is that the lowest price in the last 15 years was reached at the first half of 2020. The round timber price was at a very low level, and this caused lots of friction in the industry. So what does the situation look like for 2021? So there was an increase in the first half, and the peak was reached in the second half of 2021. And the level for southern Germany and Austria is now at about 110 euros. So here we can see from the low level to the peak. What is almost forgotten is that we are still in a time of damaged wood situation. So this is the damaged wood development in Germany. So these are the figures for 2015 to 2025. So we have 43 million cubic meters. So this is a considerable decrease as compared to 2020, where damaged wood to a volume of 72 million cubic meters arose. We also had a very high level in the year before. This was due to a heavy storm. So now for about 40 million cubic meters is actually a figure that we can neglect as compared to the years before. Even if we have very favorable weather conditions, this damaged wood situations will not disappear. Something special occurred this year, namely that the harvested amounts in Germany could get back to a normal level. So here again, you can see the sum. So in Germany, we have 250 million of cubic meters of damaged wood since 2015. So this is a very important chart so that we know what the situation will look like in the next years. There was this huge leap when it comes to demand from 2020 to 2021, and this was also the price driver of this year. Last year's demand was not fulfilled completely, and the forecast is that the development will be almost the same. So this means that in 2022 sawn softwood will be needed in a bigger expanse and bigger amounts. We also have to take into consideration that Russia will stop its sawn softwood exports, and also China will play an important role here. So these are the producing countries. We have the European countries that that are in this association of EOS countries. And they said, okay, this year we will achieve an increase of 7%. The forecast was made in August, I think, but I think that the figures won't be achieved. Austria had a 10% increase. Germany also produced a lot in the first half and then produced a lot less in the second half. So I don't think that the 7% will be okay. But the forecast for 2022 will be an increase of 0.6% to 88.5 million cubic meters. So we do not have such a big leap. And this means that all the producing countries in Europe have their full capacity. A very important development that also has an influence on the market situation is the very big Central European timber industry. They invest what they have earned since 2018. So they invest that, and they mainly invest in taking over other companies, or also by founding new companies. So there was, for example, a takeover of Binderholz. They have now 2 locations in Finland. And they will also take over BSW in Great Britain, and took over BSW in Great Britain in 2020, and also Pfeifer Group and so on. So they all have these investments towards the raw materials. So where are the raw materials? The raw materials are existent in the US. Mr. Binder said that in the next year, Binderholz will make more profits in the UK than in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So now the center of attention is also the USA, and we can also see that this industry is becoming more globalized. The developments have not come to a halt, so there are also discussions about taking over sawmills in Finland and also in other countries. So to sum it up, Central Europe is the most dynamic region in the world with regard to investments. By 2023, there will be a plus of 6 million cubic meters of felled trees, particularly spruce trees. And so by 2023, there will also be a plus of 1.3 million cubic meters in cross-laminated timber production, and plus 1.6 million cubic meters of sawn timber demand. And also with regard to pellets production, there will be a plus of 350,000 tons in Austria, plus 800,000 tons in Germany. There will also be 6 or 7 additional wood fiber insulation panel plants, and also the most modern timber house productions in the world will play an important role here. For example, Bluma Lehmann, B-Solution, Groberus, Kaufmann, Bausysteme, Ziegler, and so on. So there is a lot going on. Also, big module producers are very important in this respect. So the produced sawn wood is combined with ready modules, and this is then used in buildings. So will 2021 be repeated in 2022? Well, there will be the low in inventory. So there are not low inventories with regard to production. So the sawmills can now fill their stocks at quite inexpensive prices. With regard to the demand will be as high in 2022 as it was in 2021. Logistics will be more difficult. So that's the situation as it was in 2021, and it will also be as difficult in 2022. And when there are still logistics problems, then it will be difficult to get the raw materials from the USA. So you have to secure yourself spaces on the cargo ships, and knowing that higher prices are accepted. So this is something that might recover in 2022, because many people have learned that also the producers got this self-awareness and self-confidence. And it's also knowing of how to avoid panic. Well, maybe this year or the next year, it will be able for us to defend our position in a better way. So that this will be the learning from 2021. And there might be some production reserves. But the reserves have almost been used up, so we will notice that in the next year. And also our readers confirm that in a survey, 76% are of the opinion that the timber market will be as volatile in 2022 as in 2021. So this was a lot of information in the short time, and I would like to thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much to the Editor-in-Chief of Holzkurier. Thank you very much, Gerd Ebner. Thank you for this global overview of the situation and of the previous years. And we are going to take this information also for our panel discussion. Before we start with the discussion, I'd like to introduce to you the experts. And I would like to start with the sales manager for Sawn Timber at Pfeifer Group and managing director of Euroblock, Leonhard Scherer. Welcome from my side. My name is Leonhard Scherer. I'm in charge of Sawn Timber sales at Pfeifer Group and sales of pallet and packaging timber that we market via Euroblock GmbH. I have not 36 years like Michael Pfeifer, but even more than 30 years. And I've also never experienced such a turbulent year before. So let's see what the future will bring. And I am sure that things will remain exciting. If I look at the exchanges in the United States, and the development of the prices there, I can say that the market will stay volatile. This is a forecast that I would like to share with you here at this very moment. And I would pass the floor back to Ms. Kamper. Thank you, Leonhard. And the next expert is the sales manager for timber construction at the Pfeifer Group, Klaus Greber. Good afternoon and welcome also from my part. My name is Klaus Greber and I'm in charge of timber construction at the Pfeifer Group. What will 2022 bring for us? Everything will become better. Some things will become very much better, some less. And we have seen in 2021, and we have just heard the learning 21. So some things may or will become better because there is great opportunities on the market. Some things will not improve so much, such as the supply and the bottleneck situation will stay with us also in future. And this was my brief input for the discussion. Thank you, Klaus Greber. And now I'd like to welcome our next participants, our next participant, logistics manager of the Pfeifer Group, Thomas Staudinger. Good afternoon. My name is Thomas Staudinger. I have not been in the timber industry for so many years, but many years in the logistics industry. I'd like to quote the pop group Queen, I want it all and I want it now. This is the mood that our customers have had this year. They want us to deliver more and more products faster and faster. And this is a challenge for us because another challenge is that we want to supply things not only faster, but also in a more ecological way. So these are the challenges and I'm looking forward to meeting them. And this was my brief input for the panel discussion. Please stay with us, Thomas. Thank you for this input. I want them now. I
Leonhard
want
und
the other
Klaus, bitte schaltet
participants,
euch diese
Michael,
startet,
Klaus, and
nämlich
Leonhard.
mit
Could
der
you please switch on
Podiumsdiskussion, meine
your
Damen und Herren. Da
cameras?
sind sie alle,
So
unsere
here you have
Experten
the
vereint am
experts on
Bildschirm
your
für Sie.
screen, ladies and
Und ich darf
gentlemen.
Sie an dieser
And
Stelle
I
noch
would
einmal
now like
aufrufen,
to invite
wenn
the
Sie jetzt
participants. If you have
interaktiv
any
sein
questions, if
wollen,
you
dann
want
bitte
to
stellen Sie uns
uh,
Ihre Fragen in den
become,
Chat hinein. Wir
if you want
sammeln
to
alle
get
Ihre Fragen
involved in
und
the
werden diese dann
discussion,
gerne an die
please
Experten
become
weitergeben
active. Write
zur
your questions in
Beantwortung.
the chat.
Also
We will then
haben Sie
pass
keine
the
Scheu,
questions
sondern
on
fragen Sie
to
einfach
the
wirklich den
experts here
Experten
on the
Löcher in den
screen.
Bauch und vor
So
allem auch
please
in das
don't be
Holz, würde ich
shy.
sagen, an
Just
dieser
ask
Stelle.
as many questions as
Ihr
you would
Lieben,
like
seid
to
ihr
ask.
bereit? Geht's los?
So
Jetzt wird gebohrt, jetzt wird
if
gefragt.
everybody is
Alle
ready, I
Mikros
would
sind
now
an,
like
wunderbar.
to
Ich
kick
darf die
off with
erste
the
Frage
panel
an den Michael
discussion. The
Pfeifer
first
richten.
question
Wir
is
haben
for
jetzt hier
Michael Pfeifer.
Herausforderungen, die ja mit
Michael,
Wahnsinn und auch
we
mit
have
Zeichen von
heard
2021
about
einmal
the
deutlich
crazy
bekommen
year
vom Gerd schon sehr
2021.
stark.
Gerd
Was
explained
werden denn die größten
everything.
Herausforderungen
So,
sein,
what
Michael,
will
im nächsten
be
Jahr?
the
Was kommt auf
major
Pfeifer Group zu?
challenges next year? What will the challenges be for the Pfeifer Group in 2022? I think the main challenges will be the purchasing of raw material in the year 2022. In the past 3 years, there were calamities, there were disasters such as wind disasters and infestation. So next year, purchasing will certainly be the main challenge. So I urge, we are planning to have our plants working in 3-shift operation, but I guess that in the second and third quarter, the situation may also be different. Maybe there will be shortages in this time, and also there will be other products. Some products will be more difficult to get. So I guess purchasing and personnel, these will be the two challenges. Personnel, skilled labor, shortage of skilled labor, it will be a problem also next year. So we need more experts, be they electronic experts or mechatronic experts. So we started very early to train them in-house, but this will still be a topic for next year. The HR side, as I said, we've done a lot in the past, but it will remain difficult. And also the issue of round timber and logistics, intermodal transport. We have moved to rail recently, but this is also an area where we will have to improve and develop further also in the future. And finally, research and development, where the timber industry has not done that much in the past. So
Ich
this
sehe
will
schon,
be
wir
another
stechen da in
challenge
ein
for the next
Wespennest
year.
hinein. Es kommen schon
Well,
Kommentare.
I
Michael,
am
wie sieht es denn
already
aus im
seeing
nächsten
in
Jahr?
the chat
Wie wird denn der
that
Absatz ausschauen, deiner Meinung nach?
this creates a lot of interest. What about sales, Michael? Well, I think sales in 22 will develop positively also in the area of sawn timber, and timber construction is also going to increase. And so we are in competition with concrete, and people are accepting this material, and the demand will increase in future. So I see a positive development for construction, timber construction, and also for reinforcement materials. And I would like to stress that our main markets will remain in Central Europe. We have a closed cycle. We do not produce any waste. The bark that we produce will be turned into energy in power plants, and residual materials such as sawmill, it will be used for pellets. So this has been our approach for many years. My
Man muss
father
auch
and his two
innovativ bleiben
brothers
und natürlich
uh,
diese
embarked on this
Nachhaltigkeit
way, and we are
ebenso wie
going
bei
to
Pfeifer das
continue that.
gemacht wird, wie du jetzt
So
gerade gesagt hast. Was glaubst du denn,
you are
mit welchen
living by the
Ländern wird es
principle
denn
of
schwierig mit dem
sustainability.
Absatz werden?
What would you say? Where will sales be difficult next year? Well, we have heard that logistics will remain challenging, especially in third countries outside Europe. So this will be a problem. Logistics next year, importing, exporting, container freight, all of this will remain difficult. Freight costs have increased sevenfold in the past, and this will stay with us, this problem. And so you have to plan ahead, much more ahead than in the past. But we will keep our our focus on the Central
Mein
European
Kochlehrer
markets
hat schon immer
also in
gesagt, ein
22.
gutes Mise en place in Wiener,
My
das ist die halbe Miete, also vorplanen, vorplanen.
cooking
Das
instructor
ist
always
die
told me
Sicherheit.
that a good mise en place, a good
Leonhard, darf ich
preparation
dir die
is
nächste
key. So I
Frage
think this
übergeben?
is also
Danke,
true
Michael, schon
for
mal an
the
dieser
timber
Stelle.
industry.
Wie wird
Thank you,
deiner
Michael.
Meinung nach der
Now let me
Handlungsbedarf
move
in
on
euren
to the
Kernmarkt oder
next speaker.
Kernmärkten sich
What do you
entwickeln und
think, Leonhard,
werden sich die
will the
Preise wieder auf
demand
ein
be in
Normalniveau
22?
einpendeln
And do you
oder
think that
geht es da noch
prices
einmal
will
nach
go
oben?
back to normal or will they move up even next year?
Das ist eine gute Frage.
Well,
Die
that's
Kernmärkte, wie der
a
Michael schon
good
gesagt hat, sind bei
question. The
uns
core markets,
Mitteleuropa und
as Michael
Westeuropa,
said,
wo wir zu Hause
are
sind.
Central and
Also wir haben
Western
in dem Jahr
Europe.
unseren Export ein
These
bisschen
are
gesteigert,
the
sonst ist natürlich
markets
sogar
where
ein
we
kleiner
are
Minus
at
rausgekommen
home
am
and we have
Jahresende.
not
Also
increased
Exporte
our
von
export
Überseeexport.
to overseas.
Ich gehe
Overseas
davon aus, dass
export
in den
will
Kernmärkten die
even
Nachfrage
be
im
a
nächsten
slight
Jahr
minus at the
leicht
end
nach
of the
oben
year.
geht. Es
I
wird
think
keine
that the
großen
demand will
Sprünge
going to
riesen
will be
Bedarf, weil wir vorher schon
increasing
gesagt haben,
slightly
selbst wenn
next
im
year.
Holzbau Zuwächse da sind,
And
muss
even
dieser
if in
auch
timber
realisiert
construction
werden.
there will be increase,
Und
you
da haben
still
wir
have
hier
to
den
build
limitierenden
the
Faktor. Die
structures, and there
Frage
is a
wird sicher
limiting
sein in den
factor
nächsten Jahren,
there.
meiner Meinung,
So I
wie
think the
wird sich
question next
der
year will
Bedarf und
be
die
how
Nachfrage
will the
verteilen. Ja, das läuft ja
demand
nicht immer
be
parallel, wie wir in diesem Jahr gesehen haben,
distributed?
sondern
So it's not
der
always a
tatsächliche Bedarf
parallel
und was dann
development. So the
nachgefragt wird,
actual demand
geht dann
and what
oftmals
is
auseinander. Da wird teilweise
needed
spekuliert.
is not always
Und
identical.
dennoch
So
ist
a
eben die
lot
große
of it
Frage,
is
haben wir aus
also
diesem Jahr gelernt,
speculation.
wie werden die
So
Player am
the
Markt
question
agieren?
is,
Und davon hängt am
how
Ende
are
dann
the
sicher auch die
players going
Preisentwicklung
to
ab.
respond
Da ist
next
hier
year?
immer die
And the
Frage, was
development
ist
of
denn
the
ein
prices will
normales
depend
Preisniveau?
of
Ja, wir
on
haben bis
that. So the question is,
2020 ein
what
sehr tiefes
is a
Preisniveau
normal
gehabt, kann man
price
sagen,
level? Up to
und haben natürlich jetzt
2020, the price
generell
level was
eine
very low. And
Riesenexplosion
now
gehabt.
we have
Dieses
seen
Preisniveau
prices
wird meiner Meinung nach
soaring. So I
deutlich
think that
weiter
the
oben liegen
price
als in der
level will
Vergangenheit.
remain higher and it
Abgesehen,
will
wir
be
würden ja
higher
einmal
than in the
Kalamitäten bekommen
past.
wie
And
Windwürfe oder
if there, of
weitere
course, is a wind
Wetterkalamitäten, aber selbst
disaster
die
or
glaube ich würden nicht mehr dazu
infestation,
führen, dass
then
wir so abstürzen
even this will
in
not
den
bring the
Jahren bis
prices back
2020
down
hatten.
to the level that we had
Volatilität,
before
glaube ich, werden wir
2020.
weiterhin haben.
Volatility
Davon kann
will
man nicht
also stay with
ausgehen.
us. This
Schon
is
allein,
something
wie der
that we
Gerd
have
Ebner
to
gesagt hat,
live
durch die
with. Gerd
Globalisierung der
Ebner said
Märkte.
that this is
Glaube
due
ich,
to
dass
the
es einfach viele
globalization of
Einflüsse gibt
markets,
von verschiedenen
and
Ländern,
I
die
agree
plötzlich
with
mehr
him. So
nachfragen
there
oder auch weniger
are
nachfragen.
various
Oder auch jetzt die
effects. Some
Logistik am einen
countries
oder
will
anderen
demand
Land einen
more,
Strich
some
durch
will
die Rechnung
demand
macht.
less. There will be
Insofern wird
logistics
es
problems
weiterhin
in one country
kurzfristiges
and
Agieren sein,
maybe
als wir es
no
in der
problems in
Vergangenheit gesehen
another.
haben.
So I think the question or
Leonhard, du sagst es auch noch
the
einmal, dieser
situation will
globale
be
Zusammenhang, das
that
habe
we
ich
have
jetzt
to
schon aus der
respond
kurzen Zeit
more
mit euch gelernt.
quickly.
Wir hängen alle
Leonhard,
zusammen auf der ganzen
you
Welt.
mentioned
Auswirkungen,
globalization. The other speakers
was
have
das
also
Klima mit uns
mentioned
macht oder eben auch
globalization.
sozialpolitische
So we are
das nimmt
all
alles
living
an.
in the
Michael,
globalized
wenn wir jetzt
world,
global in
the
die Welt
climate, the
hinausschauen, noch einmal zu
logistics,
dir
everything's
zurückgefragt, welche
connected.
Zielmärkte werden
Michael,
denn schon
what would
angestrebt
you say are
von dir
additional
einen
target
Ausblick in
markets
das
in
Jahr
addition to Central
2022?
Europe? Are there any, is there an outlook for other countries? Well, we are currently supplying 70 countries, and we make 22% of our sales in 6 countries: Germany, Italy, Austria, Switzerland, France, and Spain. These are the most important markets for us. We make 28%, 82% of our turnover with these 6 countries. Of course, we are always looking and exploring other countries, and we also present our products at trade fairs in other countries such as Australia or Korea, for example, where sawn timber is needed. So there are countries where we will maybe go to in the
Ich habe ja auch
future,
gelernt,
but
man soll nicht immer auf
the
ein
focus will
Feld
remain
alles
on
setzen,
our
sondern
core
wenn es
countries.
lammt,
I have
kommt
also
man blöd auf
learned
den
that
werden wir gleich
you
dann
should
noch
always
drüber
have a
sprechen
plan
in
B
Bezug auf
if plan
Zielmärkte.
A does
Klaus,
not
ich
work
darf
out.
dich jetzt gleich mit
Klaus, may
ins
I
Boot
come
holen.
back
Wie
to
sieht denn die
you?
Situation
Klaus,
allgemein in
what
Bezug auf
is
den
the
Holzbau aus?
situation as far as
Gibt
timber
es neben
construction is
euren Kernmärkten in
concerned?
Europa noch
Are there
weitere
other international
internationale
target
Kernmärkte,
markets that
Zielmärkte, die ihr jetzt schon
maybe become
anpeilt?
relevant for you in addition to your core markets in Europe? Yes, there are some markets: UK, China, United States. But why not stay at home home. We are still have a lot to do with densification of the market, especially with regard to CLT. So we are going to expand towards the west here, and in other countries overseas, there are some interesting countries. The United States are enjoying tremendous growth with regard to CLT. But on the other hand, there are also many suppliers in the United States. There are also Austrian companies that are already very active there and that will also invest more, also in UK. But I think at the moment it is important to us to maintain and to preserve our core markets in Central Europe. So overseas and other countries may be interesting. They are always interesting for sales, but they are not in the focus.
Well, maybe we can talk with Gerd about that later on. Once there was this focus on the US before, and there we also experienced a very harsh collapse. Let's think back to Donald Trump and the Canadian affair. Well, actually, we can still feel it in our bones. Thank you, Klaus. Now, Thomas, I would like to ask you with regard to logistics, because you're the expert in this regard. Do you think that in 2022 there will again be supply shortages as in the past year because of the global supply chains, because they do not work anymore? And now it has also got something to do with the acute lack of drivers. So how do you rate the situation to be with regard to logistics? Well, I would like to highlight these questions from two sides. I think there is really the local demand. So we're talking about the goods of our daily lives. In the local or regional market and demand, we don't see any big lack of drivers. So we can help ourselves out of this situation. But when we look at the other side of the coin, so everything that comes from Asia or from the US or from other parts of Europe, the situation will remain difficult. In the media, we can still see this topic of microchips. When you want to order a new car, then it takes a lot of time until you get the new car. Or for example, when we want to export out of Europe or to faraway countries, then of course the lack of drivers is a topic that concerns us. For 2022, and Michael mentioned that at the beginning, we should not fall back and rely on just-in-time deliveries. And the warehousing capacities will increase in order to balance the volatile situation. And of course, there are also some challenges that can be planned. Mr. Ebner mentioned that there is only a limited space on the cargo ships, on the container ships, and we already noticed that. And at the Pfeifer Group, we want to plan ahead. Well, as Gerd said before, some ships are already fully booked. What do you think? What do the others do in order to balance out this lack of drivers? So where can you start? Well, this lack of drivers, or let me put it in a different way, the wage level of the drivers has improved in recent years, and this also improves the situation with the lack of drivers. In order to trigger a positive development on the driver market, we are all involved in the supply chains, and this goes away from the principle of I win and you lose. So you should not press out the lemon too much, as I would like to put it. So this entire logistics and freight industry has to work better together in order to secure themselves capacities. But also the politicians are required in order to make this profession of truck driver more attractive. I think we have not reached the soul of this downward trend of lack of drivers. So I think that this situation will be difficult in the next year. Well, Thomas, I noticed that you are the philosopher at the Pfeifer Group with your statements. Now I would like to ask you, Michael, we hear about a shortage, a lack of truck drivers, but we also hear about skilled labor shortages in many other other industries. So what does the Pfeifer Group do in this respect? Where do you get the skilled labor force, and do you have to do more than in the past to get skilled labor? Well, for a long time, we have been very active in recruiting skilled workers. So we work together with universities, with colleges, and also schools. We have the My Pfeifer app, where we have an internal communication platform for the more than 3,000 employees that we have. So human resources are a central topic. And 5 or 6 years ago, we increasingly began with an automation of plants, because if we do not get the required workers, then we also have to set on automation. The prefabrication degree in timber construction is very important, but it is clear that in the meantime, we can see that there are lots of people involved in human resources who try to recruit skilled workers. So we will talk about that later when we talk about digitalization. Gerd, I would like to ask you, well, we heard there is a shortage, there is a lack everywhere, but actually is the raw material available? So what does the situation for raw material timber look like in 2022? Well, all of Austria is covered under a thick layer of snow. So we're working with this product, and we do not know when we get the product. But the forecasts say that we will have enough of the raw material. Austria is a mountainous region, so we cannot get to every place. So when in the second quarter the demand will start, then not enough round timber will be available. And without calamities, also the price level of round timber will remain at a three-digit figures. And this will also be some motivation for the forest owners to really bring the raw material out of the forests. But when we look at the round timbers without any calamities, there will be a seller market. This means that the forest owners will determine the price and will determine the delivery conditions. When we look at the raw material, also the sawn timber for further processing, the situation will be interesting. So for example, when the people order and at what prices, and there could be a surplus of demand in several months. And everyone should have in the back of their minds that the forecast for Germany is that by 2050, the available spruce amount will decrease by 50%. So we will have to adapt to this situation, and we all have to become more consistent, and we have to just restructure our work. Well, can I ask back with regard to spruce? So why is it a spruce, and why will the amount of spruce decrease? Well, after the Second World War, deforestation was mainly done with spruce because they grow quickly, and the spruces were mainly planted in places where they did not belong to. And we had several very hot summers, and so there was a problem of the spruces growing. And therefore, the industry has to adapt to this situation, that the spruce offer won't be the same in the future as it was in the past. So the situation remains interesting. So here we can see again that, well, what the humans cause and what the negative consequence this can have worldwide. Well, we got some insights in the past years, Gerd, with regard to the Holzkurier magazine. And did the interest in the timber market increase a lot in the past years? Well, we noticed that there has never been a time where the market information was so important than it was more important than ever before, and there were lots of requests. I wrote an article about why the prices for sawn softwood rise so much, and just a day after the publication, there were already 4,000 requests, and this is a very high number of requests for a closed platform. And on the same day, I also got the request to have this article translated in Czech and Italian. And the people asked if the situation will remain like this. And also the media, radio channels and so on were interested in timber and timber construction. And this is also a little bit dangerous because the constructors have not noticed that the prices fell. So no one was interested in falling prices. So that was very interesting. But anyway, in 2021, we sold many more subscriptions. We have never sold so many subscriptions for our magazine before. So everything seems to be multitasking what you're doing, Gerd, because you have the whole situation in mind, and you can even provide Czech translations. But let's talk about the raw materials. Raw material prices. Has the peak already been reached? Well, I don't know what the prices will be in 2022. Well, the lumber features were addressed, so we know where the US price will be in January, and in January 2022 the prices will be higher than in January 2021, but we cannot forecast what that means for the prices in Austria. Well, I cannot imagine the prices to increase fourfold, like for example this was the case for roof lats, because I think the consumers would wait a little bit longer so that they can buy the products at cheaper prices. So I think such extreme situations won't happen in the future, but maybe there will be some fairer price ratios. So this could happen in the forest, for example. It starts at the price of 120 euros, and then the final product costs 300 euros, and so on. So, well, if we can wish for fair prices, that would be good. But we do not know what the situation will look like with regard to inflation, the COVID measures, and so on. We do not know about the effects. So there are lots of unknown features. So it's just irrelevant what the price in the US is when the logistics does not work. Well, we cannot say anything. Well, definitely. And this now brings me to Leonhard, to sawn timber. What does the supply of sawn timber look like in Central Europe, or also in other areas? What will the situation be in the future? Well, actually, I assume that next year we will have enough sawn timber. So when the amount is available, that the sawmills will have the round timber, and they will try to produce more. So the bottleneck will be on the sales side. So there was enough round timber in the past years, and also in the past year, and then there was a scarcity towards the end of the year, and the sawmills also had to reduce their production. The decisive factor is of how the market participants will react and how they will develop. And we do not know if there will be speculation or a price explosion. I think everyone is required that we take something with us from this year and that we also learn something from this year. But in this sense, I am optimistic that we will have enough amounts. The exports won't increase that much, particularly with regard to logistics. So I think the increase cannot be very big. But I warn all the market participants to speculate and wait for cheap prices, because we do not know when we have achieved the lowest points. So you should try to keep up warehouses in order to cover peak demands and maybe also to cover lower production volumes. I think we are all required in this respect. The quantities that we had to take out in the sawmill industry will maybe be missing in the second half of the next year. So I think we all need much more continuity. Can you already make a forecast of how much sawn timber will be produced at Pfeifer? What do you need for your own processing? Well, our planning for next year is that we have 2.4 to 2.5 million cubic meters of sawn timber, and about 1/3 we will use for the further processing in our own plant, and we will then develop it further.
Thank you very much for the information, Klaus. Let me come back to timber construction. What about your customers, the timber construction companies? What is their status of supply? What is the general mood? Our customer is mainly trade. 90% of our customer are trade enterprises, and we only have positive feedback. The capacities are utilized until the end of 2022, even 23, and also in Germany the situation is very satisfying. So these two markets cover about 50% of our sale, and we hear the same also from Italy, Spain, France. So an excellent situation for everybody. There is a trend towards timber construction with regard to sustainability and CO2 reduction. So the mood is great. It's excellent, I may say, but there is also a fear as far as the supply and the price development are concerned. So we believe that there is good supply, that we will be able to supply the companies until the second quarter, and I know that it may become more difficult in the second half of 2022. Well, we mastered the situation successfully this year, so we will also be successful next year and be able to supply our customers and cover their demand. Has the timber construction boom triggered a growth among companies? What about the future? Well, as far as growth is concerned, I don't know. Let me take the example of Austria. We have a growth rate of approximately 5% per year in timber construction, and the number of companies and the number of employees has grown by 10% this year. And I think this is the decisive factor. Many companies opted for prefabrication and were able to save personnel this way. And I think the situation is similar also in Germany. So I think the companies are able to master the order situation. While the situation may become more difficult, currently we have 11,000 people employed in this industry, and in Germany 75,000. So Germany has 11,000 companies, so this means the companies are rather small or medium sized, but there are also more larger companies with more employees that will drive the development. And we are
Und du
convinced
sagst
that
es
we'll
gerade
be able
Boom, das löst
to
ja eine
cover the
riesige Welle
demand.
aus. Glaubst du, dass
So
der
there is a
Holzbau in
boom
Zukunft sich
currently.
so
Do you
etablieren
think
wird, dass
that
andere
timber
Bauweisen
construction
in
will
den
become
Hintergrund rücken?
established in future and maybe even replace other structures? Well, I think the question is not correct. I think that we have been established for years now. In the 50s and 60s, we were building roof trusses, and now we are building structures such as schools, kindergartens. So we are already there. 20 to 25% timber construction in our core markets of Austria, Switzerland, and Germany. So we still have 75% that we can conquer. And this is what it's about. But we maybe increase the share, but we have become established. We are already established. The same is also true for the rest of Europe, France and Spain. And it is also clear that the more successful we are, the more enemies will appear on the scene that will try by using greenwashing to sell their energy intensive products as well. So this is something we have to live with, and there is still a lot of information that we need to share, but there is great potential for us. I'm convinced of that, and it is now
Ich
up
sehe
to
schon,
us to
dein Herz
utilize this
brennt für
potential. While
Holzbau.
I can
Die
say that
zwei
you
Faktoren, warum wir
are
dagegen
that you
sprechen, sind ganz
love
oft auch
timber
der Brandschutz
construction.
und
There are always
auch der
two comments
Preis.
that come
Wie
up. One is
weitsichtig der
price,
Holzbau
one
schon
is
entwickelt ist. Wie weit
fire
seid ihr
risk.
da schon in der
So,
Forschung oder
what
was hat sich da
have
getan?
you made any progress there as far as research is concerned, as far as fire prevention is concerned, and also construction regulations are concerned? There are different regulations in the various states and provinces. There are various standards, European standards, German standards, Austrian standards. So it would be very helpful if this were standardized throughout Europe. We still have a long way to go until this is reached, and all industry in all the industries are represented in the standard committees, but it is a very slow development. So it is very important that the politicians prepare the ground in order
Also auch
to
ein
have a
Fleck halt wirklich
standardized
wie in vielen
European
anderen Bereichen gerade.
situation.
Hat
Well,
Pfeifer Group genug Schnittholz
what
für den
about Pfeifer
Holzbaumarkt? Können
Group?
Sie
Is there
liefern?
enough sawn material, sawn timber available for timber construction? Leonhard said that one third is used for processing, so maybe we can shift a little. I think but we are able to
Alles klar.
supply
Michael, ich
sufficient
gebe
products
gleich
to
die
our
nächste Frage
customers.
zu dir.
Michael, the
Wir
next
brauchen
question
jetzt
is
noch
for
ein bisschen
you.
an Speed, damit wir alles durchbekommen. Und ich sehe, es
We
sind
have to
schon
speed
einige
up a
Fragen
little
in der
because I have so many questions here that I would
Antworten
still
Button,
like
den
to ask.
leuchtend
And I
sehen
also
auch. Also
see that we
unsere
have so
Kunden
many
haben
questions
Interesse,
coming
teilen
in
Interesse an
through the
euch
chat
und
box
euren
and the
Themen.
Q&A
Lass uns
feature.
auch
So
einmal
there is
über die
great interest in the
Digitalisierung noch
topics. But
kurz
I would like to
sprechen, weil das ist ja auch ein
ask
Thema,
you a
das in
question
allen
about
Bereichen greift, auch in der
digitalization
Holzindustrie.
now.
Wie
Digitalization
weit
is
ist der
also
Pfeifer
playing
Group schon
a role
fortgeschritten?
in
Wo
the
treibt die
timber
Digitalisierung bei
industry.
euch?
What is your company doing about that? Well, this year we hired a digital sales manager. We have a B2B platform that we operate, and we kicked it off last autumn. So in sales, we are planning new things, and we have already done a lot automation and networking of our systems in the plants, in the mills. This is a central topic for us to make the plants even better available in order to be able to produce the volumes that need to be produced. And communication is also digitalized. My Pfeifer, the internal app for employee communication is important. So digitalization is
Also
certainly being
Digitalisierung ist ja auch
improved
so ein
further.
präsentes Thema.
Well,
Viele haben Ängste, dass ihnen
digitalization is
Arbeitsplätze
also
verloren gehen, aber es
creating
hilft natürlich auch
fears. People are
mega bei
afraid
der
that
Automatisierung
jobs will
und
be
dass sich
lost,
auch
but
die Fachkräfte,
digitalization,
die
of
auf
course,
ihre
helps to
Kernkompetenzen
automate, and
konzentrieren
it
können.
also
Also
makes
ganz
it
ein
possible
spannendes
for
Thema,
skilled
das
personnel to
bestimmt auch
focus
bleiben
on
wird.
their core
Thomas, wenn wir
tasks.
schon bei der
Thomas,
Digitalisierung sind, wie wird
um,
denn das die Logistik betreffen?
what
Welche
will
Schritte
the
sind jetzt auch schon
effect of
gesetzt bei
digitalization
dir
be
in
on
deinem Bereich?
logistics? Have you already done anything in terms of digitalization? Well, unfortunately, we are not yet able to beam our goods from A to B, so digitalization has not come that far yet. No, digitalization in logistics is mainly about collecting data, about using artificial intelligence, about using algorithms. It's a it's a huge volume of data that we have, and it is our task to use them correctly and to take the right decisions based on this data. So logistics wants to become more ecological. We want to become greener, and we can use this data to achieve this goal so that we see where is a lorry at the moment. Artificial intelligence can help us to plan loading in a more efficient way, to use as little air transport as necessary. And it can also help to make goods available more efficiently, to send the lorries off more faster. And this is where digitalization comes in. And we will only be able to make logistics greener if we interpret the data that we have from
Eine
digital
wichtige
means
Analyse,
more
Controlling,
reasonably.
schnelles
So
Reagieren und vielleicht
analysis,
irgendwann auch so
controlling,
eine
fast
Gegend
response. So maybe you will
von
be able
Europa
to
nach
beam
USA.
the
Ja,
bark
können wir
and
tun.
the
Von dem
timber from
sprechen Sie
Europe
hier noch
to the
einmal kurz.
United States
Wo gehen
one
denn die
day.
Trends hin?
Gerd,
Welche Prognosen
what
kannst du
are the
denn abgeben in
trends?
Bezug
What
auf
are
neue Produkte
your forecasts for
oder
the future
oder
as
den
far as
Rohstoff?
new products are concerned and as far
Die
as
Megatrends, die
the
wir alle kennen, ist
raw
natürlich zum
material
Beispiel
is concerned?
CO2-Neutralität oder
Well,
Energieeffizienz. Und
mega
von diesen
trends
Trends
are
profitiert natürlich
CO2
auch die Holzbranche.
reduction
Dass jetzt so
and
viele Holzfaser-Windkraftenwerke
neutrality.
gebaut werden, hängt
So
damit
currently
zusammen, dass
there
der
are many
Brennstoffmarkt zu
plants
95% von mineralischen
that are being
Produkten
established
dominiert
that
wird.
produce
Und da
insulating
allein ein paar Prozent zu
material.
gewinnen, heißt
And
unglaubliche
so
Einzelunternehmen, das überhaupt decken zu können.
in order to
Genauso die Entwicklung bei
win a
Sperrholzproduktion.
few
Die
percent of
Produktionen, die jetzt
that
kommen, die
needs
werden
a
wir alle
lot of
brauchen, glaube ich, weil
effort,
der Bedarf
and
einfach sehr hoch ist.
there is high demand also for
Umgekehrt der Megatrend heißt natürlich
glulam
auch,
and
die Politik fördert
CLT.
den
And
Holzbau.
the mega trend
Umgekehrt, die
means that
Politik will
politicians
teilweise auch den Wald schützen. Also das sind aber
support
zwei
timber
Komponenten, die
construction, and at
diametral
the same
entgegengesetzt sind.
time,
Da gibt
policymakers
es auch
want
noch
to
viele
protect
Argumente zu bringen,
our
dass verbrauchtes
forests.
Holz wirklich CO2 frei
So
hat.
we still have to
Das
go
kann man
out with
momentan
our
nicht, weil Sperrholz, weil
message
einfach da sehr
that
viel Holz benötigt wird.
timber constructions are
Aber
able
beides
to
zusammengenommen
save
heißt einfach, wir müssen mit dem
and
Rohstoff deutlich
store
mehr
CO2,
umgehen.
but all
Dass
in all,
man,
we
dass
have to
Deutschland
use the
6
raw
Millionen
material more efficiently.
Rundholz nach China verschifft,
That
ist, glaube ich, nicht
affect that
wahnsinnig
Germany
gescheit. Also man
ships
könnte da
millions
verarbeiten.
of
Und ich weiß auch
solid
nicht, ob es sehr intelligent ist,
square
Schnittholz nach USA zu liefern. Das ist auch
timber
nicht wirklich
to China. Does
ein
not
groß
really make
innovatives Produkt,
sense.
aber der Markt verlangt es
So
momentan.
Da
it
gehen wir doch gleich, darf ich dich
well,
unterbrechen,
sorry for
an den Leonhard
interrupting
noch einmal
you.
weiter.
Maybe I
Du
can come
sagst
back
Entwicklung
to Leonhard
Schnittholztrends.
as far
Was ist da für eine
as
Nachfrage
sawn
gerade
timber
gegeben,
is
Leonhard?
concerned and the
Entschuldigung, Gerd, dass
trends.
ich dich unterbrochen
What
habe, aber
about the
ich schaue gerade
demand
auf die Uhr. Wir haben
situation
noch
there?
gute
Sorry,
4 Minuten
Gerd,
und dann
I
geht es
didn't
schon
want
los
to
mit unserer
interrupt you, but we
Q&A-Session.
only have
Also
4
Leonhard,
more
darf ich
minutes
dich noch
before
einmal
we
fragen,
kick off the
Trends in Sachen
Q&A session.
Schnittholz, wo geht's
So,
denn hin?
Leonhard, what are the trends
Ja,
in
grundsätzlich haben
sawn
wir ja gehört, ich
timber?
meine, der
Well,
globale
we
Schnittholzbedarf
have
wird die
heard
nächsten
that the
Jahre weiter
global
steigen.
demand is
Davon müssen
going
wir
to
ausgehen, denke
increase
ich.
in the next few
Und
years. This is
für
something that we
Europa kann
can
man, glaube ich, schon
expect.
sagen, dass nicht
And
nur
as
die
far as Europe is
Weiterverarbeitung auch
concerned,
zunehmend mehr
there will
investiert wird. Das
also
heißt,
be
es
more
wird mehr
investments
veredelt.
made in
Es werden
processing,
auch Produkte
and
weiterentwickelt, die
products will be
sicherlich den
developed further
Holzbedarf für
in
ein
order
Produkt
to
reduzieren, weil wir
reduce
wissen, das
the
wird irgendwann ein
demand for
eliminierender
wood
Faktor sein für
in
uns
one
in Europa.
area.
Ob dann USA
So
langfristig die Lösung
whether the
ist, der
United
glaube ich auch nicht.
States
Also
will
wir
be
haben
a
ja das auch
long-term
ab in den
solution,
letzten
I don't
20 Jahren
know. We have
erlebt, was in
seen
den
the up
USA
and
passiert ist.
downs of the
Da
past
glaube ich auch,
20
dass es
years in
dort
the United
wieder
States.
einmal rückwärts
So
gehen wird
I
mit den Mengen.
expect that volumes will
Insgesamt
drop
gesehen,
in the
glaube ich, müssen
States
wir als
again.
Holzindustrie einfach
But
weiter
all
in
in all, the
intelligente
timber
Produkte, in
industry has
Innovationen
to
investieren,
produce
dass wir einfach
intelligent products,
den
invest
Holzverbrauch
in
hier
innovation
steigern
in order to
und einfach
increase the use of
CO2-neutrale
timber here
Bauten anbieten können.
and be able to
Und
offer
ich denke, da ist die
CO2
gesamte
neutral
Branche gefordert.
structures. And I think this is a challenge for the entire
Auf jeden Fall
industry.
seid ihr damit
This is certainly
einverstanden, wenn wir in die
true.
Q&As reingehen
My
und schon mal ein paar Fragen
gentlemen, would you
reinholen und
agree
uns
that
einmal auf
we
die
should
Seite stellen?
start
Ich schaue
with
jetzt
the
mal rein
Q&A
auf
session
meinen
and
Chat und
take the first questions?
äh,
I am looking in the chat window. I don't really see many questions there. So maybe you ask our host to send the questions to me. So we have 4 more minutes. Michael, what about the investment priorities for 2022? We have invested a lot in our 2 sites in Tyrol 4 in Germany and 2 in the Czech Republic. And we are going to step this up next year as far as the organization and supply side are concerned. In Karlovec, in the Czech Republic, we opened a plant in Kundl. We expanded the saw line. The third step of expansion will be taken in January. And also in our plants, we are going to, we have made investments. What is important in 22 is also investment in drying chambers, to be able to dry timber in the German, Austrian, Swiss, and Czech market. And well, now I've just received a question on this topic, namely, will there be additional sites? I think you already gave an answer to that. I am waiting for the next questions and move back to Klaus.
So now I'm asking Klaus with regard to trends. Is timber construction the most important pillar for the product group for Pfeifer? Well, I would not say that this is the most important pillar, but I think this will definitely be a dominating area. And when we break this down to the further processing, timber construction is a very dominant area. We also invested in the different capacities, further processing capacities. And I think we will also be able to increase turnover. And we know that a lot can happen, but timber construction has definitely a lot of weight. So now the question would be interesting, is timber construction the building method of the 21st century? Yes, definitely. Well, I thought so too. The next question that we got from the chat is, could you please tell us something about the developments in the packaging market or pallet blocks? And the question is directed to Leonhard Scherer. The packaging market in general is a huge consumer of wood and timber. And I think that in the next years, we will have a stable or increasing sales. Timber packaging materials with regard to the carbon footprint have a big advantage as compared to other packaging materials. In our sawmills, we also produce wood residues, pellets, and also pressed pallet blocks. And by means of this, we can also substitute solid wood. So the solid wood is then available for the higher quality products for timber construction. And I think that the trend will continue in this respect. We also plan to set up our raw material base on a broader basis. And we will also include other things in our block production. So we're talking about the circular economy, and the future is definitely this circular economy, and therefore we want to increase our capacities in this regard. So you will definitely focus on this area. So the next question, Gerd, for you, how much cross-laminated timber will be produced in 2022? So what do you think? What is your forecast? So, well, actually, I would have to check my special information about cross-laminated timber. Well, the development of production is very strong, and by 2024, there will be a doubling of the figures. So I hope that the person who asked the question is hopefully a subscriber of our magazine, and I can then give him further information. And I think one question was also if there will be overcapacities by 2024, 25. Well, I can say that the timber industry is something when the situation is good, then everyone focuses on that. And so there were overcapacities in the past, but over the time, the situation balanced and until the cross-laminated timber production is at full capacity, then the situation will change. But at the moment, there are no big overcapacities. Well, I would like to say something in this respect. I think we now have 1.2 million cubic meters, and the market will grow to 2 million cubic meters of cross-laminated timber. Well, this dimension is very big. At this point, I would like to tell everyone who is listening that if we cannot manage to answer all the questions, then we will send you an email with the answer later on. So what is the delivery volume by rail? And this question is directed to Thomas Staudinger. The round timber volume is supplied 50% by rail. So our supply is mainly done by rail, but not all our customers have an access to the rail system. And we even want to increase our share of products that we supply by rail. This is because of sustainability reasons, and we will focus on that for 2022. So you want to get more on the rails, more on tracks. Michael Pfeifer, the next question is for you. You said that there is not enough research in the timber industry. So how does Pfeifer handle research and innovation topic? We founded the Pfeifer Research and Innovation Hub in Innsbruck this year, and we will have students there, and we will also increasingly cooperate with universities with regard to research and innovation. We will also network and link ourselves with other companies in the industry from which we also want to learn, and we will do that very actively because we want to do more research, for example, with regard to other types of wood, or where we can save wood and timber. So this is something that we have planned for the next years. Do you also see some growth for young people in this respect? Do you also feel the spirit of the young people, and are there any startups that also think innovatively? Yes, definitely. There are lots of young employees who deal with the topic of timber. So this is a sustainable product, and therefore the topic of sustainability and CO2 is a topic which the young people deal with a lot. So this new generation set, they know the direction, and they are the goal. So they have climate protection at their goal. Klaus, the question is for you. And are there also other boom products apart from CLT? Well, actually, I think that glue laminated timber still has some growth potential, and also has got some potential for capacities. So CLT, this area is also growing, and also insulation material was mentioned. So I think there is not a product where there is no growth. So I think there are lots of products, and all the products experience growth these days. Thank you very much, Klaus. So we are still receiving further questions. I'm checking on both media which questions we've got. Well, we talked about the innovation office, but maybe Gerd, you can give us another outlook with regard to innovation. Is there already some research with regard to alternative wood types? Yes, but not very much in the sawmill industry, because alternative wood types concern more the paper and pulp industry, where there's lots of research going on. So in many areas, apart from spruce, there is just a spruce. So the people are just very monotonous, but this has got a reason also, because the density of spruce is very well suited. But there are also alternative wood types, and the amount is growing. So I think this has got definitely a future. So as a forestry manager, what do you think how wood will be produced in 30 years? So your vision? Well, as a forestry manager, you always have to think in decades, and so that you are never wrong. Actually, it is important to get as many types of wood into the forest, so that we have this variety of varieties. But the trend definitely goes in the direction of hardwood, beech, for example, birch. But there is also the pine, Douglasia fir, spruce, and so on. So I think we will now definitely have to orientate ourselves beyond spruce. Now I got a question for Klaus. Will Pfeifer extend the CLT capacities, and if so, to what extent? Well, we are ramping up the current production, the plant, to 100%. So this will happen in the next 2 years, and we also want to do some further expansion, and also look at the opportunities of the plant. So we first have to establish the current plant in the market. As Gerd said that before, so not all the capacities that are on the paper come from the regrowing the varieties. So within 5 years, we want to reach the 100%. And when we therefore, we will definitely extend our capacities. Thank you very much. I think this was the last question. All the questions that we will receive later, we will process them later on, and we will then send you the answers later on. Thank you very much for this great round of experts. I think we have learned a lot from you. We have experienced a lot from you, and now I would like to say goodbye. Michael Pfeifer, Thomas Staudinger, Gerd Ebner, Leonhard, Scherer, Klaus, Greber, thank you very much for participating and for your great inputs. Goodbye to all of you, to the speakers, to the experts, and Michael will stay with me. Ladies and gentlemen, this was our panel discussion. I hope that you got lots of spirit and new features, innovative things, new information. And now I would like to hand over the floor to Michael Pfeifer for his concluding words. Thank you very much to all the participants who participated in our today's panel discussion. Our panelists and I have tried to provide you with interesting information, and by answering your questions, a clear insight and view to the year 2022. In any case, wood has a future. It is the building material of the 21st century. Let us set out on this path together with our suppliers, customers, and employees. I'm looking forward to that. A big thank you to today's panelists. Above all, to Gerd Ebner, the editor-in-chief of the Holzkurier, who reports every day via Timber Online about important and interesting topics. Holzkurier has been an important partner, meanwhile, since 75 years for the entire timber industry. Thanks also to the Pfeifer team, including Leonhard, Scherer, Klaus, Greber, and Thomas Staudinger. And thank you very much to Manuela Kamper for the charming and varied moderation. Our next Pfeifer Live Talk will take place on Tuesday, the 25th of January 2022 at 4 p.m. On the topic of the Top Gun principle, strategy, and tips from the fighter jet. that for this talk, we could win Christian Rode, who is an experienced pilot and a keynote speaker. He will give us a presentation on the topic of what combines a fighter jet pilot and the strategy and management departments of a company. I wish you and your families a Merry Christmas and a successful New Year. Stay healthy and above all, remain optimistic. Goodbye. Thank you very much, Michael Pfeifer, for your concluding words of today's event. And now on behalf of the Pfeifer Group, I would like to say goodbye and thank all those involved. Thank you very much. It worked very well today. And I would like to conclude with a very emotional quote by Richard Schröder, who once said, "You cannot clear the forest and leave the echo standing." In this sense, I would like to say, let us pay attention to our precious earth, our forest, and also to the people around us. I wish you all a Merry Christmas and a healthy New Year 2022. And I'm looking forward to seeing you again at the Pfeifer Group. And I would like to send you a few green snowflakes. Thank you very much for watching. Manuela Kamper.